Good afternoon, and welcome to the Senior Hour, which is sponsored by Providence Holy Cross Medical Center and Comfort Keepers in Home Care. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host
Dr. Thomas Polucki.
on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220 KHTS. This is a show for, about, and by seniors, giving information to enhance one's quality of life. And our first guest this afternoon is Cardon Ellis of UniPest. And happy birthday, by the way.
Oh, why, thank you.
Happy birthday. So you
many
almost
more.
didn't make it. You were...
I was delivering a live removed killer beehive to a beekeeper in Placerita Canyon, actually.
Wow.
So Placerita Canyon is going to enjoy one more beehive. The trees will be pollinated. The gardens will be enhanced.
There you go.
The quality of life, shall we
Quality
say,
of life,
will be
yes.
augmented
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
by the hybrid species invented accidentally by humans in 1954 that was imported slowly over a 40-year process into the United States of America.
Wow.
But, that's a different conversation for a different day.
I remember
Yes.
the scare. Like mid-70s, it was a thing. Like there were
Oh, yeah.
movies about it, and it was crazy. Like the killer bees are just going to come and kill everybody.
Yeah, and I remember, I think it was by the mid-90s I saw the news reports that they actually confirmed that they were here. Because I remember that as a kid.
Yeah.
I was like getting ready to go to middle school, and there were all these reports about how is life going to exist still? Like, I think it was the zombie apocalypse.
Right.
But it was a psyop. They were prepping us for Y2K. That was another fun one. Do you remember
Yeah,
Y2K?
yeah.
Planes are going to fall out of the sky? Yeah.
Right.
So, okay, I'm looking into...
Bees. Full of bees.
Yes.
I mean, full.
Yeah. It's pretty intense. So anyway, it's really fun right now, though, because, I mean, bees are the most amazing and beautiful and cool creatures. Like, they're...
Right up to the point where they sting you.
Yes, right up to the point where they sting you. Exactly. And it's kind of funny. That's the way every single hive is. Ask any guy that works in like beehive removal. Beehives have personalities. Like there's like sometimes it's 50-50. Some hives you just have to exterminate. It's in a difficult place. It's already been contaminated with pesticides. You can't cultivate the honey. You know what I'm saying? They're super aggressive. It may have already killed a dog. It may have already injured a person. Unfortunately, elderly people confined to wheelchairs that can't escape killer beehives. Like
My wife.
Yeah, that
If
happened to her.
there is a bee within a mile, she's going to get stung.
Yeah, she's gonna
Like,
get stung.
I don't
Yeah.
get it. I handhold bees
That's
all
'cause
day
That's
long.
because she's so sweet.
I guess so. And she
Yes.
just gets stung all the time.
Yeah, so I mean, they're a legitimate threat. People don't realize that if you add up all of the shark attacks, the dog bites, the moose, mooses. I don't know what the plural of moose
Mooses.
is. I'm probably butchering that. The mooses, let's just say mice. The mice getting hit, you know what I'm saying? If you add up all of those shark attacks, snake bites, dog bites, the whole 9 yards, it doesn't add up to the amount of people injured and lives taken, if I remember the stat correctly, through just bee attacks, just common
Wow.
bee attacks. And so when you approach a hive, hives have their own personality. Just like you have one friend that's a little bit cranky in the morning, he needs an hour to wake up, have his
Yeah.
coffee, so on and so forth before he's like a nice person. And you just know you don't talk to him in his cubicle until 11. Okay, so there's some beehives that are like that. Other beehives, they're super nice. They
Yeah.
just behave like that one girl on TikTok that, just picks them up and you speak nicely to them and they speak nicely to you, and you can put them in this convenient little relocation box, and you show up at a beekeeper's place and you say, hey, do you want a free set of bees? He's like, you just saved me $150. Thank you.
Yeah.
And everybody's happy. But the dividing line, you know how you said they're really interesting and they're fun until they sting you?
Yeah.
The dividing line is how they react in those first 30 seconds.
Yeah.
When you cut that plywood open on a roof, because it's a half construction job and you're super hot, you can get stung through the suit.
Yeah.
The suit is protective, but you still get stung.
Really?
Oh my goodness. Ask anybody
mean-
that's a beekeeper, anybody that's a exterminator, you still get stung. Oh,
That
it's like a
stinger is
wetsuit.
that long?
Well, and also there's always flaws in every system. Like, for example, I'll wear these thick leather gloves that have a big, giant, thick canvas arm that goes up to the elbow that is on top of the long sleeve that goes down to my wrist that is on top of my long sleeve t-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And if they get you in the seam, like when you stretch and you have to reach for something, they can get you in the seam. And if they get you in the seam right, and there's thousands of these things.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like body armor in medieval times. If you have 1,000 arrows shot at you,
Yeah.
will you repel 999 of them? Yes. But that one that makes it through in the seam,
Yeah.
like you're injured and you're off the battlefield, right?
Yeah.
So
That's
Well, they've
amazing.
had a while to perfect that, to
Yes.
perfect that weapon.
Yes.
And they're going against much tougher things than humans. They're going against like hornets and stuff. So they've
Yeah.
got to be kind of bad at.
yeah, totally. And so that's the thing is you measure their personality, and when you first open it up, they got like 10 seconds to impress you. And if they impress you, sometimes it ends up being a live removal. Other times, if they don't, it's like, I'm sorry, guys. You were just too mean.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just got stung 7 times. I ain't going in for an 8th, you know?
Yeah.
That's the worst. Then you got to go to your doctor and get like prednisone and stuff like that. It's horrible. But anyway, that's not a recommendation, by the way.
No.
You know, but it's just a reality. So anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
So I had fun this morning. What'd you do?
Sat in the hot tub, soaked up some rays, worked
Damn.
on the book.
I should have been a chiropractor.
Yeah.
That's that's totally awesome. So anyway, I have an extra bee suit. Do you want to come on the next hive removal?
Oh, how interesting.
Yeah, I will literally suit you up. I got a cool one. Pink leather gloves too, so it's tasteful. You know what I'm saying?
Well, can I use my walking sticks? Or
Oh,
should-
totally. Yeah.
Oh,
You can use your walking sticks, and we'll just deck you out in the full blown suit. You put on this bodysuit that looks like kind of like a painter suit. It's made by Dickies. You're familiar with the Dickies brand, the work suit brand that sometimes you see the skater
You
kids
say
run around
so.
in. Yeah, so it's called Dickies. It's really thick canvas, and then on top of that, we put a full bodysuit. We do it early in the morning, so you're not super hot. Because the only real problem with doing bee removals is just how hot it gets. You're in like 5 layers of clothing on a 110-degree day.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's pretty
so
brutal.
you do it early in the morning.
As early as you can, because they only fly, I think the stats, if I remember correctly, and this is training from 5 years ago, so I might be butchering this, but it's more or less along these guidelines. If it's like below 55 degrees, they can't really fly. They don't metabolize as well. They're not as active. They're kind of just chilling and surviving. If it's over 77 degrees, they're very, very active, and they can just fly. And if it's in the hundreds, forget it. They're swarming, and they're actually trying to cool the hive. They're coming out so they can actually fan into the hive, you know. So earlier in the morning, they won't fly and buzz you as much because they can't fly, or they don't
Well,
want to fly.
So when will this occur?
Oh my gosh, I removed like 4 hives just last week, and I'm just one guy. I've got other employees that are doing it too, but it's really, really fun.
I would love to do it. I really would.
Oh, it's a date. You're coming out. It's going to be fun. And you're going to be in the full-blown suit. And we're going to take pictures. And we're going to put it on hometownstation.com. And we're going to start a senior hour beehive removal revolution. And can I tell you what the biggest thrill is going to be? You should look up. Well, there's 2 things, actually. You should look up what bee stings do for arthritis. There's like countries where they literally will administer bee stings. Like,
They do it here. It's just not acceptable, you know,
Yeah, it's
conventional
considered-
medicine.
Well,
so
it wouldn't straighten my fingers. That's for sure.
Oh, well, I have
No.
I am not at all a doctor, but I just know that in many countries, bee stings, and I've seen studies that say it correlates to a million different benefits, so on and so forth. But what's so interesting is they actually administer bee stings in some countries for people that have arthritis. But the wildest thrill is what they feel like in your hand. Like you can put on we'll do this sometimes. Bees, they have to sense that their skin before they will actually put a stinger in. And a lot of beekeepers, to maintain dexterity, they won't use the thick leather gloves. They'll use thin surgical gloves. Because as long as the bees can't sense your skin, if you're moving slow enough, they won't sting you. Again, this is not a recommendation. Don't do this at home. All right, it's just stories that I've seen firsthand. Right, so they'll use like the cool little surgical gloves, and even when you just have thin like dishwashing gloves, they can't sense there's a hand there, and they oftentimes won't sting through that. When you put your hand for the first time into a beehive, there's 2 wild sensations. First off, when you grab that first panel of honey, it's super warm. It's like 85 degrees-ish almost. It's like
Whoa.
yeah,
How
it's
interesting.
it's gooey warm, right? Because they have to maintain at that temperature. Even in the middle of winter with heat thermal scanners, we can just scan around underneath a snowpack and then you'll just see this glowing little dot and you'll know, okay, there's a beehive underneath there. And they will
Wow.
overwinter,
How interesting.
and you can stick your hand in there. It's freezing outside, but then inside the hive, it's warm. It's really crazy. So the warmth you'll feel, and then all of their wings fluttering. Because to keep it warm, they do this vibrational dance, or to
Yeah.
cool it, sometimes they'll flutter. And bees there's 1,000 of them now on your hand, and they're fluttering. You feel like your skin is getting, those hypersonic cleaners?
Yeah.
Where you put I don't know, dentures inside this gizmo that vibrates enough that it cleans it all. You feel like your hand is inside this hypersonic cleaner and it's like really warm and it's like a sci-fi movie.
Oh, that sounds
Pretty cool, huh?
interesting. Yeah, it sounds
So you coming out on the next one?
Oh, I'd love to.
All right, rock on. We're doing it. We're doing
Okay,
it.
let me know.
Buzz, buzz.
Yeah. That's all I got for
Yeah.
you. Bees. Viva
Because
los bees.
well, would you come and pick me up, or do I have to get a ride there?
Oh no,
I
dude, I'll
don't
come pick you
drive.
up. It's gonna be awesome, and we're gonna make video content out of it. You know what
Oh,
I'm
that
saying?
sounds like fun.
Dude, you would be a TikTok sensation.
Oh,
Are you kidding me? The beekeeping grandma. I'm gonna hook you up. I'm gonna get Jason Statham to show up that just did that beekeeper movie, and we will blow something up and walk away from the explosion at the same time you are in your little walking sticks with a bee suit on, and somebody will sponsor.
yes,
It'll be
let's
awesome.
do it. I would love to do it.
She's in.
Oh, yeah. Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Yeah, yo! She just classied it up with a cool old English phrase. I love that. I love that. Nothing. What did you just say?
Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
That is awesome.
Well, that's the truth. If you don't try something, how are you going to know if it's going to work?
Yeah, that's true.
Nothing
true.
ventured, nothing gained.
Dude, that'd be pretty awesome. You know what we need to do is get at the I used to go volunteer with my dad to play the piano for the people at the retirement center, And oh my gosh, they loved him because he'd play like 20s, 30s, and 40s like jazz, like pre-war stuff. And in the 90s, that's what everybody in the retirement center was. And oh my gosh, it was amazing. Like the song that he had to learn as a recital piece in 1969 would just drive these women absolutely nuts. And they'd get up and they'd start dancing these dance moves I have not seen except for in black and white reels from the 30s. You know what I'm saying? It was totally wild. But when I talked to the lady that ran the retirement center, she was running it like the Boy Scouts of America. She literally was like, I want everybody in here to learn how to crochet and then how to learn how to dance and then how to learn. Like, it was the most hardcore retirement center person I ever met in my life. But I was like, we need to do it. When somebody retires, there needs to be 20 things you learn how to do in retirement, like merit badges. And taking out a beehive needs to be one of them. We'll start a tradition. It's like a bucket list. It needs to be like a bucket list item to actually just hold a beehive in your own hands and feel that sensation.
Wow, that sounds like fun. Yeah. I'm all for it. Yes.
You got her.
Oh, yes.
How much time do we have still? That was like an opening remark, and I don't even know how much time. Did I just totally destroy
No,
your
you're
show?
good. This is fascinating. We got about 5 or 6 minutes. You're good.
Oh, okay,
You're
cool.
good.
That is
Well, okay, so if
fascinating.
Barbara does go with you, then you have to bring back a honeycomb of some kind, right? Are you able to do that?
Yes, it's the weirdest thing. So you guys are used to seeing honeycomb, nice and pretty looking
Sure.
in the pictures.
Right.
And sometimes even if you go to like Whole Foods or they'll get a local vendor that has like a chunk of the honeycomb still in there just so you feel justified in the extra $15 you just paid, right? So anyway, that's not the way it exists in nature. In cultivated hives, they have a screen that keeps the queen from being able to enter one half of the hive.
Why?
Because the queen is constantly planting babies inside those cells.
Oh.
And then some will have honey, some will have babies, some will have storage. They all get capped off with wax. They all get cultivated. The worker bees have their job and they're constantly breeding new young bees, as well as making sure the queen is happy, fabricating what's called royal jelly, kicking out the drones. That's the other hilarious thing. Beehives are all female. They're all female. You get stung by a bee, a woman bee just did that to you.
Really?
You know,
Okay.
there's a Johnny Cash song waiting to happen. You know what I'm saying? Right there. But
Yeah.
they're all female except for sometimes as little as 2 or 3, sometimes as much as 7 or 8, what are called drones, which are the male bees. And they exist only for procreation. It's a feminist dream. Like literally, they just exist
She
for
just has a
procreation.
bunch of young bees
Yeah, she
at
just
her
has
disposal, so to speak.
Literally,
Okay.
just young bees at your disposal.
Okay.
And by the way, if food's running short and we got to make it through the rest of the winter, they kick out the drones. You stay here, we kill you. We kick you out, and they die of dehydration or of starvation within 36 to 48 hours. And when they need to go back to breeding, they just do they just create a new drone. A new drone is created. It's wild. So like
This is
literally,
a movie waiting to happen.
no, this is the future. When when you see Kathleen Kennedy in those "the future is female" shirts, I always kind of laugh because I'm like, "Whoo, that's kind of like a beehive." You know what I'm saying? At any given moment, you might just get kicked out of the club and go starve. And don't worry, we'll make a new one when we need you, right? So anyway, they'll kick them out. They're only kept there for breeding. But what's interesting is the queen goes around and she plants larvae in those little cells. But what professional beekeepers figured out years ago is the queen bee is just a smidgen. We're talking like 1/8 of an inch bigger than the rest of the bees. Her thorax is large and extended.
So she's a separate species.
No, she's the same species,
okay.
but she's a separate size. Bees are what's called polymorphic, meaning that different sexes, different ages, that they'll be a different size, right?
Oh,
So she's
okay.
got a very enlarged thorax. She's the proverbial wide-hipped fertility goddess, right? You know what I'm saying? Like those little statues you get in like ancient Incan empires, right? That's her. And she goes around just planting new baby bees in the honeycomb. So if we put this screen in that her like hips, for lack of a better term, can't get through, there's half of the hive that the workers can go put honey in and that they can cultivate and they can cap off with wax, waiting for her to show up and plant an egg in. But because that implantation process never happens, the honey just stays there like perfect. And because honey is naturally antibacterial and it doesn't really age, you can find a clay jar full of honey in an Egyptian tomb, and there's archaeologists that have taken it out.
It's one of the few things that can't spoil.
Yeah, it literally, it can't spoil. So that's a much better way of putting it. So anyway, that's the honey you cultivate. So what they do is they keep this half of the hive constantly working, breeding new bees, breeding new drones, going out getting pollen, building new panels. And then the other half is the one that you take out and you end up putting inside of the centrifuge that sucks out the honey.
The honey, yeah.
Leaves the
okay.
beeswax for your cool candles that, again, you pay $15 too much for.
No,
You know what I'm saying?
I make
Like-
my own candles, or I did.
Yeah. So we'll bring you honey from the wild hive, but it's a different process where you soak it and it naturally falls down through cheesecloth. But you can walk away with your own little mason jar full of honey from a wild hive that I took out of somebody's, like literally those little columns in Valencia when you walk out your front door, those are always loaded with beehives.
Wow. Well, let me know, because I'm ready to go.
Oh, it's on like Donkey
Oh.
Kong. Are you kidding me? I am taking pictures. This is gonna be
Oh,
fun.
I would love to do
You're signing a
that.
waiver though.
A waiver of what?
Just you get stung, you ain't suing me.
Why would I sue anybody, you know?
Well, you're of a different generation. There's other people out there that would. You know.
Yes, but if I'm going to do something and something happens to me, that's not their fault.
Yeah, that makes too much sense.
That's
Barbara.
too, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, just like I said, there's entire
You're
business
thinking
models.
normally, yeah.
Yeah, that are funded
Logically.
on the opposite end of that spectrum.
Right.
All right, yeah.
oh,
That's
wow.
fascinating.
Okay,
Wow.
well, let me know. I'll be ready to go.
All right, Cardon, give us your contact information, please.
Oh, yes,
Yes.
661 bug 7575. That is 661-284-7575.
Yes.
Yeah.
And UniPest.com.
Yeah, totally.
Awesome.
Got
Thanks
it.
for coming into the senior hour on KHTS FM 98.1 AM 1220, hometownstation.com.
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Thomas Polucki, on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220 KHTS. And our guest now is Adam Laraway from Focus Physical Therapy. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you again.
Yes, and I'll see you again at
Yeah.
3 o'clock.
There we go. There we go. We'll get you fixed back up.
Yes, yes, yes. So what's on the docket today, sir?
Well, I thought maybe we would talk a little bit about balance and kind of the three systems that our body uses for balance. Hopefully, with the nicer weather coming, people are going to be getting out and walking and doing more things. But with that, you got to make sure that you've got good balance. If you're working in the yard or, uneven surfaces with grass and gravel, or if they go out for a hike or something like that. So I thought we'd talk about kind of some of the things that we do in physical therapy to challenge those systems for balance. And those systems, there's three of them. We use our vision, our hearing, which is called our vestibular system, and then our proprioceptive input through our hands and our feet.
Now, what was the last one?
Proprioception?
Proprioception?
Proprioception, yep. So that's like...
Never heard of that
Yep,
before.
so that's you get input through, your feet on the ground and your hand on the ground. So, one of the things, like I was working with a patient this morning, and he was kind of shocked at how different it was, his right leg versus his left leg. But when I had him doing some balance standing on one leg, he could do it on the left leg, no problem. But when he would do it on the right leg, he had to put a finger down. But if he didn't put that finger and touch the table, then he would lose his balance.
Lose his balance.
But as soon as he had that
Interesting.
second point of reference of input, then his balance was much better, and he was able to hold that, for 45 seconds without putting his foot down.
That's interesting because when I get up, instead of using my walker
Mm-hmm.
and instead of using the walking sticks, if I want to go from the living room into the dining room and then into the kitchen, I use things that I can hold on to.
Sure. So you're giving
Because you've
yourself
got a chair,
more
the
input.
wall, another wall, a
Yep.
table, another wall.
Yep. Which we don't like in physical therapy.
No, I
because
don't
that
like
means,
to do that. I want to get up and
that
walk
means you're
straight
not
there.
Stable. Yeah, exactly. You're not stable, and you needed some other input to make it there safely. But we want you to be able to walk, from point A to point B safely. And so when you're having to, we call it wall walking, where you're having to touch something, it's giving your brain more input to give you that feedback so that you know where you are in space.
Well, I don't like using the walking sticks in the house
Yeah.
because there's too many pieces of furniture
catch
that
'em.
I can get caught on.
Yep.
And then if I don't have the balance, down I go.
Exactly.
And I don't want to down I go.
Exactly. I always tell my patients you're under direct orders for no falls.
Oh, absolutely. No,
Sometimes-
that walker it's a lifesaver in the
Absolutely.
house.
Absolutely. Yeah. You got to keep.
Because
make sure
when
that
I
balance.
use that, if it hits the furniture, it'll move the furniture.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And with the walker, it's even more input. So like with your walking sticks or canes, you've just got kind of that one point of reference where it's hitting, the ground, and you're getting that input through your arms.
Well, I
Where-
use 2 canes. I
Right.
tried one,
Exactly. So that's
and
4
that does
points of
not
reference.
work.
Yeah.
It didn't for me.
Yeah.
I don't understand how my neighbor across the street uses one stick, and she's like this.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, I've said to her, why don't you use 2?
Yep.
No, I don't want to use 2. I want to use 1. I'm like, well, okay.
Well, if you use 2, then you've got 4 points of reference because both your arms then have impact
Yes,
from the
and
ground.
there's more balance
For sure.
there.
Right, for sure.
That's
But if
where
we're
the-
trying to go back towards progression and getting you with better balance so that you can do that, having only 3 obviously is less input. Plus, it frees up a hand to open up a door or
Well,
carry
that's true.
carry a bag or something like that. So that's kind of
Well,
the progression.
I
that
have
we'll go.
somebody else carry my bag.
Yep. Yeah, there you go. There you go. You got it set up right.
Yes, because I don't drive and I need a driver, and that driver will, whoever it is, my son or my daughter
Yep.
or my neighbor, they'll carry the bag for
For sure.
me.
For sure.
So it's kind of like the riddle of the Sphinx, right? What starts off on 4 goes to 2, winds up on 3.
Yep.
And that's, the progression of things. So that first phase where you have 4 points of contact is where your nerve system is learning,
Right.
right?
For sure.
And then when you get to 2, it's because you put enough input into that system so that you can figure out how to stay balanced just on 2 feet and ideally on 1 foot. Because if you're moving, 1 foot is really the only thing that's touching the ground.
Right. when you're swinging that leg through.
at a time. So you've got to get to fairly sophisticated balanced feedback systems, and proprioception may be a big word for people who aren't in the biz.
Yeah.
So it's like positioning.
Yeah.
Positioning knowledge. Ception is knowledge. Proprio is positioning. So like GPS, like when your car tells you where you are, you're like, how does it know that? It's because there are satellites, and it needs to see at least 3, I think, at least 2 and probably 3 at a time to tell you exactly where you are.
Right.
3 coordinates to tell you where you are, anywhere, height, and anywhere across from side to side, right? So our brain does this.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's going to do it real efficiently if you've got 3 points of contact. And when you're climbing by yourself, you always have 3 points of contact.
Right.
It's safety.
Yep.
Safety. It's a safe place to be.
Right.
Then when you progress to the 2, the walking, you're really only getting down to 1 point of contact. And that's where one of the first things we lose as we age. The positioning sensation, the feedback, the knowledge of where our positioning is. First thing we do is we lose it in our ankles. That's the first thing to go.
In the ankles?
In the ankles.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why, but that's just the way it is. So you start losing the sensation in the ankles, and you start becoming unbalanced, and that's what Adam's job is, to try to get that back. But we may have to take it all the way back to the 4 points or 3 points of contact in crossing and crawling activities. Like when you're a baby, you crawl. And it's something really interesting happens there, that it retrains the brain to talk to all the different muscles, all the different joints as effectively as possible so you can progress. So if you lose that, depending on how much you've lost, you may have to go back to that kind of movement pattern in order to regain it.
And there's I was just going to say, there's a lot of things that can affect that. People who have diabetes, which is a big part of our population, they start to get what's called peripheral neuropathy. So they get numbness in their feet and their hands, and they lose some of that sensation. So now all of a sudden, your brain's not getting that signal of, oh, I'm walking on grass and it's an uneven surface, or I hit a step partway and I need to be able to adjust for that. There's a lot of things that can affect that. But, if you start to lose some of that sensation, then your brain isn't getting that input, and that's what we can try and help with physical therapy.
So diabetes. Wow.
Yeah, diabetes. There's a lot of things that can affect it.
There's over 100 different causes of neuropathy.
Really?
Yeah, but diabetes is the main one.
One common one, but a lot of
Well,
a lot of side
mine
effects from
came from
medication. and-
chemotherapy.
Yep, exactly. Yeah,
That's a big
Some
one.
could be exactly damage from chemotherapy. So that's one of the things that I do in my practice, is that I use the Neubie to stimulate the nervous system and try and get that sensation back. And I've had success with that. Even patients that were 8 years out from the chemotherapy that they said was permanent, and I was able to get all the sensation back. And they were able to resume all the activities.
Well, it's interesting because when I was at your place first time, the numbness and the tingling
That-
disappeared.
For sure. And that's we use the Neubie to help wake that sensation back up.
Okay, so I'm going to start coming on a regular basis.
There we go.
Now, because you have the prescription
Yep.
for Medicare
Yep.
and Anthem Blue Cross, and
Yep.
that's all you
We
needed.
should be good.
And when I talked to your office, what was it? Whenever it was.
Yeah.
Monday, I
Yeah.
think. They said that they had received
All the information.
the
Perfect.
necessary
Good.
prescription.
Yeah. So we'll take a
from
look
doctor.
and see what we can do to get it fixed
Yes.
back up.
Oh, yes. Please,
Absolutely.
please. I'm
Yeah.
tired of taking gabapentin again.
Yeah. To kind of piggyback to what Dr. Polucki was saying was, proprioception, like you think about, like if I close my eyes and I bend my elbow, I can't see that I'm bending my elbow, but I know I'm bending it. That's proprioception. That's your joint receptors that are telling your brain that you're moving it. Even though you can't physically see it, you know from your brain that you're moving it. That's proprioception. We use that in a lot of different aspects. But, so when you get those inputs, when you're walking, when you're, say you fall and you got to crawl over to a chair, you're using those different inputs to help get you and maneuver you around there. And that's really, really important.
Interesting. Interesting. Well, I'm hoping that that Neubie will cure this mess in my feet.
There you go.
I don't have it any other place in my body.
Yeah.
It's just my feet.
Just the feet. Good. Well, I got a
And-
couple ideas and tricks up my sleeve, so we'll
Okay.
take a look today and see what we can do to fix it.
Nothing ventured,
Yeah,
nothing gained.
That's right. Exactly. To kind of piggyback on some of the other stuff, though, think about, if you have to get up, go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, which a lot of our seniors do.
Mm-hmm.
It's dark in the room often, and so if it's pitch black, now all of a sudden you've just taken away one of your balance centers, which is your vision. And so that's why a lot of times people fall, go into the bathroom in the middle of the night because, you can't see what's on the floor. You trip over something if you don't have.
No, I've got my points
so
of
you're giving-
contact.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, yes.
But that's why like a night light, just having a
I
little
do
bit
have a night
ambient
light.
light gives you
Yes.
a little bit more input into
Yes,
your
it
nervous
does.
system so that your brain can then maneuver to the bathroom safely. So all those pieces, are part of the equation. And in physical therapy, we can challenge them by, say, having you stand on one foot and then maybe close your eyes. All of a sudden we take the vision away and people start to sway big time, or they lose their balance because the vision is gone. And all of a sudden you open up the eyes and your balance comes right back. And then we know the vision, which what happens when we get older, our vision starts to deteriorate. And so all of those systems are getting affected. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does make sense.
Think about it. Our joints get arthritic, so we start to lose some of those
tell me about
receptors
it.
in the joints. And then our hearing gets worse as well. That's the third component with our vestibular system. Our hearing gets worse, and so that can affect your balance as well. So there's things that we can do in physical therapy where we challenge those different systems and we figure out
So the hearing also?
for sure. Absolutely.
Really?
Think about it. If you're walking, say, down a hallway and you're looking straight ahead, you're getting input into both of your ears at, say, 50% on each side.
Right.
The minute you turn into your friend to say hello, now you're getting like 80% on one side and 20% on the other side. And if your nervous system can't adjust for that, you're going to lose your balance. That's why sometimes we'll turn to the left and maybe they start walking to the right because that system is off as well.
Oh, how interesting.
Yep. So there's different things we can do in physical therapy where we challenge those systems. We may have you walk and turning your head left and right while you're walking just to challenge that system. We may have you do different movements with your head as you're just sitting and doing different things. Just depending on how, limited or dysfunctional the system is, we can do different things.
Very interesting. Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to the visit today because I want this numbness and tingling out of my feet.
Well, we're looking forward to having you back.
Because obviously I'm going to have to increase the gabapentin.
Yeah. Well, we want to try and hopefully
And I
decrease the
want
gabapentin.
well, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
I want to get off it completely.
Yeah, for sure.
You
For
know?
sure. Well, I'm optimistic where we just had the one session and you noticed a big change
Oh,
just
I
with
did.
doing
I
the
did.
master reset, to reset that nervous system. And it obviously stimulated something in your nervous system that
Oh, yeah.
helped with the numbness and the tingling in your feet.
And if I come on a regular basis,
Yep.
that will maintain it.
For sure. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Good, good. I'm a happy camper.
So there's, like I said, that's what we do in physical therapy. We like to, we'll put people through different tests to try and determine which system is most affected, and then we challenge that system. And sometimes it's really quick to improve. Sometimes it takes time. It really just kind of depends on the person, their overall health, and how things are working and functioning.
Interesting.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay, stand up. And I have to lift up one foot and close my eyes. Is that
Well,
what
no.
it is?
Yeah, not here, not now. No, we're
That's
not
what we
doing
do-
that right
That's
now.
what we do in physical therapy. Yeah, not on the radio. But that's some of the stuff that we may check today. Is I may have you do some balance when I'm able to then stand next to you and guard, so that if you do lose your balance, I can catch you safely. So we correct that.
Well, I'm a big girl, so
well,
Yeah, and
you better be strong.
Right, yeah. Well, most of the time when we're doing those type of tests, we're doing it with like a table in front of you, so that you literally
So
just
that I can put
you
my
just
hand
put
on
you put
it.
your hand
Yeah.
down, you put your foot down. I'm there as long as I can control your shoulders. You're not going to fall over or anything like that.
Yeah.
So But in the radio station, probably not the best
No.
place to start doing some of that testing.
No, probably not. I don't
Right.
need to hit this, and I don't need to hit that, and I don't need to
Exactly.
fall on you.
No, exactly.
Or backwards.
But that's the fun part of physical therapy, and it was interesting this morning working with the gentleman that he was really shocked at the difference right side versus left side, and how just going with the Neubie on, so we're giving him input, his nervous system input, and how it improved just in a matter of 3 to 5 reps of how all of a sudden he was like, oh my gosh, I'm actually not putting my finger down 15 times like I was the first time around. So his brain already started to kind of integrate some of that signal. So it's fun stuff.
Interesting. Wow. Well, going through that Neubie and also having you work on me a couple of times a month, maybe I'll get into good shape again.
There you go. That's
Wouldn't
the
that be
plan.
nice?
Adam, we'll have you back after the break. You're listening to the Senior Hour, KHTS FM 98.1 AM 1220, hometownstation.com.
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Thomas Polucki, on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220 KHTS. And we're speaking now with Adam Laraway of Focus Physical Therapy. And we've been talking about balance.
Yep.
And how important it is.
Crucial.
Crucial. Oh, yeah.
Yep. Because if your balance is bad, that's setting
You
you up
fall.
at risk for falls.
Oh,
and then
yes.
possibly broken bones, and then hospital stays.
Well, I'm lucky there. No broken
So, yeah,
bones.
so we definitely, it's probably one of the most important things. And, one of the things I wanted to kind of piggyback on what Dr. Polucki said earlier is sometimes you do have to regress back to some of those primitive things. So sometimes just simple things like being able to roll over on your stomach and on your back and getting some of those reflexes to kind of integrate back in is really, really important. And that's where, we work on that in physical therapy and assessing that and figuring out where you are at that point in time, and then what we need to work on and kind of get a game plan. And then we can send you, with stuff to do at home safely once we've assessed that.
Okay, well, that'll happen today, too.
There you go.
There you go.
There
There
we
you go,
are.
for sure.
Yeah, the end point, the goal, hopefully the common goal is to get you more stable, more balanced, so that you could theoretically stand on one foot with your eyes closed and turn your head from side to side. That's challenging it just about every way that it can be challenged. But in the meantime, I'm going to highly recommend that if you have to get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, you are using that 3 points of contact the whole way.
Well, I've got
Yes.
something to hold on to.
Yes.
For sure.
Because my bed is right next to the bathroom door.
Yeah, perfect.
And then I've got a chest of drawers here and a chest here. So I'm here, and then the doorway, and then the sink.
Yeah.
And then I'm fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. So yeah, balance is important. It is the number one reason that people wind up in a nursing home. They fall.
I'm not going to a nursing
Yeah,
home.
I
No,
understand.
no,
They fall in the middle of the night trying to get up and go to the bathroom. It's the most likely scenario that everybody's going to face. So if you don't have a clear path, make one. And
That's true. Well, the other thing I would like to suggest, too, is get long-term care insurance. In my opinion, it's critical. As I've said before, Russ didn't want me to get it, but I got it anyway.
yeah, I got you.
And
I just need to ask you a question on that. You
Yes.
got it a long time ago, yes?
Well, let's see. I got it. Russ passed away 5 years ago. I got it at least 5 years prior to that.
All right, so you got it 10 years ago, and you're turning what now?
I'll be 88 in October.
So you got it in your mid 70s. So it
Yes.
is possible to get this insurance even into your mid 70s.
Oh, yeah.
So that's
I think
important
so.
because you can make the recommendation of getting long care
Oh, I do make
insurance,
it.
and then someone goes out and tries to get it, and they're like, we can't sell you that policy.
Well, they will sell it to you, but it'll be more expensive.
Right.
Could be
That's the
significantly
kicker.
more expensive the later you get it.
That's the kicker.
Yeah.
But with Russ, it paid 2/3
Mm-hmm.
of our 24/7 care for him.
Well, Adam and I are on the team of let's make sure you never need that.
Right.
Let's make sure that you are as balanced as possible. Let's make sure that you are taking care of yourself and avoiding the potential risk of actually needing to cash in on that policy.
Well, I don't plan to anytime soon.
There you go. All right, Adam, give us your contact information.
We are located at 25050 Peachland Avenue, Suite 205. And our phone number is 661-255-4205. And our website is www.focusphysicaltherapy.scv.com.
Yes.
You sure about that?
I had to think about that for a second.
Yeah, you never call your own number, right?
Yeah,
It's
right,
like,
yeah.
what day is this? All right, Adam, thank you so much for joining us today. You've been listening to the Senior Hour, KHTS FM 98.1, AM 1220, hometownstation.com. We're sponsored by Providence Holy Cross and Comfort Keepers. Now go out and enhance your quality of life.